What's up, everybody? Donnie D'Amato here, and welcome again to Codecast Live. I am sorry I'm a little late today. Of course, this is a learning experience for me, and I learned that I must add this to my calendar. So I was staying a little bit late at work today doing some extra stuff, and I totally lost track of time. I had a really crazy week last week. Now trying to get back in the swing of things. So talking about getting in the swing of things, let's just dive into what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be playing around with the pseudo selector called empty, and we're going to be basically using it like a conditional to see if there's actual stuff inside of the HTML element that we're working with, and if there isn't, maybe we just don't show it all. So let's actually take a look at that. Let's go over to the code pen and take a look and see what we got here. So the link to the code pen is in the description below or right here at this link up on top here, and you could follow along. So what we're going to start off with is a little bit of HTML. We're going to put in a select element just like this, and the select element is very much just the drop down, and you can see there's a drop down right over here in my results panel, and I'm going to put a couple of options. And the option element is only valid inside of the select. So I'm going to put a couple of fruits in here. I'm just going to copy this and make it really easy for myself. Put an apple, 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 and we'll change these to actual fruits like banana and pear and watermelon. Okay, so now you can see that we have a couple different fruits in here. And we could select them, of course, and change them and whatnot, and they'll show the selection here. But what's kind of common sometimes is that if you are creating an application and you don't necessarily want to surface a particular form element, like a drop-down, for instance, until the user has done something else, you could do that with JavaScript to figure out, okay, if this is occurring right now, then do this. And you would do that with JavaScript and trying to determine the state of something. Another way you could do that, though, is actually really simply with CSS. So we're just going to add the selector here. We're going to select my select element, and we're going to say display none. And that's just going to make it so you can't see it in the page any longer. It's still in the HTML, right? It's still actually in the DOM tree, but it doesn't get rendered because display none is on here. So it basically says that it's not there. It doesn't interact with any other elements. It's just basically missing. Well, I don't want this to happen unless there's actually nothing in my select. If there's nothing in my select, that means there's no options for a particular person to select. So that's kind of like if I was to put something like this in here. I'm going to put a little comment in here so it doesn't see it. So now I didn't render anything. There's nothing to select, but I still have the drop down here. And that still gets rendered because of the select element here. So one of the things that I would like to do instead is I'd like to have it so that only if there's stuff inside of the select element should I actually render the select, right? So in order to do that, what we're going to do is use the pseudo selector called empty. So just like this, empty. And you'll see that, well, first off, nothing's doing anything right now because I commented this out. But if I comment it back in and save it, well, that's supposed to be gone. Not sure why it's not gone. That's supposed to work. But select empty is supposed to be working that way. Let's see. Well, the next thing I would check is to see if empty is actually even supported in here. Let's see. Empty pseudo CSS. Let's see. Sure. Okay. So this is how it's supposed to work. And it's definitely in Chrome. So what is your problem? This is super weird. So let's make this empty again. Huh. Interesting. I've never seen that. And this is Chrome, right? This is totally Chrome. Well, not sure why that isn't working. Let's see. Wait a minute. I wonder if white space is children. Let's see. Yes, it is. Okay, so there you go. Learned something right there. Basically, the children that it's determining are actually potentially even just white space nodes. So it's almost like text nodes. So it's actually kind of important to make sure there really isn't anything, even missing white space, inside of your element. And that's pretty simple to do when you're actually dynamically putting content in my select. But when I've hit enter, of course, that actually adds content technically inside of the select, then that content is white space. So we need to make sure that we remove that white space, and you will have the display none actually occur. So now when I actually put in content in here, like my options, now it'll actually show the options as well. So that's the pseudo selector. And I'll just set this to for display purposes for you guys to look at the link. So you can use this here and this here, and you can see that it's empty. I suppose it doesn't really look good as a code pen because there's no real result, but that's okay. So anyway, that's playing with the pseudo selector empty. And if you have any questions about it or want to just, I don't know, take a peek at playing around with different options of doing something with that, you know, reach out, leave a comment below in the video. But I invite you to explore that kind of stuff. And that's it. So thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll be on time next week. I'll see you then. Later.